to give our presentation to you today, which is labeled Red Card Cancer, Uniting the Global Game of Soccer. Before I introduce everybody, I just want to share with you an email that we got from a mom in Virginia about 7 months ago who was an active member in the Red Card community. And she sent us this email. My son just turned 10, and for his birthday party, he asked his friends to bring two $5 bills, one for his savings and one for his favorite charity. He chose Red Card Cancer because he's a travel soccer player and because he knows several people who are either fighting cancer or have lost their battles. He now has $100 that he would like to donate. Thank you for starting Red Card Cancer. We are behind you 100%. Camille, Virginia Soccer Mom. I'd like to invite you to follow along in a case study that's available on the Red Card Cancer website. You go to redcardcancer.org/RCC. It's a little, gives you a little background knowledge of the entire program and the project that we're going to present to you today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the team. We have Paul Payne, who is the current head coach of the men's soccer team here at Bloomsburg University, also the founder of Red Card Cancer, and also the sitting president of the National Soccer Coaches Association of America, which serves as the largest coaching organization in the world at 33,000 members. And also today from Johns Hopkins Medicine at the Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center, we have Michael Hibler. Michael's right there, and he's going to share the story behind Hopkins and how they discovered the Red Card Project and how they became part of our community. And also we have Paul Huckett here. As some of you may know Paul, he's finishing up his last semester here at Bloomsburg in the IT program. Paul was actually a helper to me in the instructional design project and the website development aspect. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Coach Payne, and he's going to give you a little background information and share the story of the whole Red Card Cancer journey. Coach?
Thank you. A little intimidating for me. I'm used to being in front of people with sweats and shorts and yelling at them and things like that. So welcome. This means a lot to us as an association, the National Soccer Coaches Association, but more for Red Card Cancer. Joe Bakiko, Charlotte Moran. I don't know if anybody in this room has ever heard of those two people. 2008, Joe Bakiko lost his battle with melanoma after beating it for 25 years. Charlotte Moran, 6 months later, lost the battle with pancreatic cancer. I knew that I was going into my role as a president of a 33,000 member organization, and sitting in my office up at Nelson, two people that influenced me but influenced so many people in the game of soccer, young people. And I thought, maybe I have a platform to do something to get the soccer community to rally around this idea of a cancer awareness campaign. So I'm sitting there because too often people die that impact people, and you think, well, Joe had an impact on my life personally. Charlotte had a huge impact, especially on the female side of the game. You talk to Amia Hamm, you talk to Randy Waldron, head coach of Notre Dame, Anson Dorrance, North Carolina. They'll tell you the impact that Charlotte Moran had on the youth, especially the female youth of soccer in this country. Joe Bakiko, women's coach, University of Scranton, huge impact in my life. Joe did so much and never asked anything in return. So I thought perhaps I have a way then to bring a message. Knowing going into my president's year, I thought I'd have a platform. So Jared, who was working with us up there with the soccer team, I knew his goal was to somehow be involved with this someday, and this is the fruits of it. It's absolutely brilliant. And we're talking. I said, Jared, I got to do something. I feel like Joe and Charlotte had an impact, and it's just gone. So I said, maybe let's try to do something here. And I came up with this phrase, Red Card Cancer. Now, if you know soccer, you don't want to get a red card. There's a couple people in this room that play for us that have gotten red cards. Good to say I never did. Well, maybe I did one time. As a player, not a coach. But the whole idea is we wanted to eliminate cancer from the game of life. So Jared and I are chatting, and I said, hey, Red Card Cancer. Yeah, that sounds pretty good, Coach. I like that idea. Jared would always make logos, sometimes for Block Party, sometimes for good cause as well. All right? But anyway, and I think he made more from that. But he came up, and he had the logo. Is it there, Jared? That was it. And right originally, I think, Jared, I don't know if the soccer ball was in the background. I think we just saw the hand in the card. But we tied it a little bit, and that's what we came up with. And that's what Jared came up with. That's Jared's design. All right. It's 2009. We have Red Card Cancer Day out here at Bloomsburg University. I think that's that picture you saw up there. I think we raised over $1,000. Gave it to the American Cancer Society. All right. We have teams in the PSAC, Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. Some high school teams jumped in on it. We're kind of doing it. It's a grassroots level. It's Jared and I. That's the team. May 2010, and I'll let him talk a little bit about some other contacts they had with Livestrong and others. I get an opportunity to meet with Mike Hibler and the people from Hopkins. It happened for one reason, because Jared Ferreira created that site. The cause is enormous. The fight's enormous. But without that site, we wouldn't be where we are today. That Mike Hibler reached out to us. That DC United, MLS Soccer, has reached out to us. That young mom reached out to us. So all credit to what was done because of this. And you people in this room understand the power of that technology. I don't. But I had a dream, I had a vision to help people. And through that, I think we're helping more. So I'll turn it over to Mike.
Thanks. First, just to share Johns Hopkins' gratitude to Paul Payne and Jared and Paul Huckett. I think that Paul Payne's being tremendously modest when he talks about his role as the president of the National Soccer Coaches Association. It is a global organization. Johns Hopkins Medicine, if you're not familiar with us, we're located in Baltimore, Maryland, but we actually have institutions all over the world. For 22 years, U.S. News & World Report has ranked us as the #1 hospital in the country. And we have a very simple mission at Hopkins, and it's 3 parts: research, teaching, and patient care. And we try to mend everything that we're doing at Hopkins to those 3 very specific missions. There was something interesting that happened about 5 years ago. We were looking at some epidemiological data coming out of our Bloomsburg School of Public Health, and it suggested that for the first time in modern times, the #1 cause of death in the entire world would be cancer. Now, when I got to Hopkins 20 years ago, we used to say that, everyone kind of knew someone. There's a 1 in 8 chance, a 1 in 6 chance that you would know someone with cancer. These days, we know that everyone has been touched by cancer. Part of our mission at Hopkins is to get a word out about education and awareness to cancer. Cancer is a scary word. It's a scary word that needs to be changed and defined and delivered in ways that can teach patients and families and communities about what it really means. Cancer's not a death sentence. 20 years ago, many cancers were. In fact, today, 8 out of 10 pediatric cancers are curable. Curable. Not a statistic we could have used 15 years ago. So it's a game of inches. So one of my challenges at Hopkins is to identify opportunities for us to raise money. Nonprofits raise money. They raise money, and they need to carry on with their mission. Mission-centric work is exceptionally important to us. And without the support of communities and philanthropists and well-meaning people, our mission doesn't actually happen. In fact, Johns Hopkins, the founder of Johns Hopkins University, it was a bequest that made Johns Hopkins. So our entire institution's been built on philanthropy. One of the ideas that we have always been struggling with is cause-related marketing. Does it work? Doesn't it work? Everyone's picking up the pink ribbons in October. It's the pinkification of the sports world. What does that say to the breast cancer population? How does that? There's a tremendous amount of questions in the cancer advocacy community around cause-related marketing. Did it make sense? We coupled that with the idea that cancer is this global #1 killer. And we were thinking about how do we get that message out? So what did we do? We looked at the world's most popular sport. Can the world's most popular sport take on the world's toughest opponent? And I'm a guy that's responsible for working on global brands. Johns Hopkins is a global brand. MLS Soccer is a global brand. Soccer is a global brand. And the NSCAA is a global brand. Here's what was missing in all of those, in that sort of constellation of players, was how do you find some space to build and deploy resources that are concise, accountable, easily navigable, and are empowering. You cannot teach passion. You cannot teach passion. Paul Payne could talk to you about these stories that actually have impacted him and have made him passionate about it. But it's possible that you're not going to become passionate for those reasons. You're going to have your own story, and that's great. But you need to have a place to go to learn about that story, learn about how it fits in. How can you participate in a community that's committed to the same cause? And it's actually quite a daunting challenge to create something that does from nothing that exists, right? So Red Card Cancer had this grassroots passion, this thing that I am just absolutely green with envy about that these guys had. But how do we navigate that? How do we build in systems to parse that out? And this is where ID comes into play. It comes into my perspective of how can we teach a community, first about cancer, How can we teach them about being advocates in their community? And how can we teach them to get involved? So these two gentlemen here answered a call and walked in some places where there was a lot of unknowns. And I think when you hear the rest of their case presentation, you'll get a sense at how spectacularly, appreciative we are at Hopkins to this, but how they have fundamentally created a platform that is global in application. And just on behalf of Johns Hopkins, Jared, Paul Payne, thank you very much for your efforts, and we look forward to many, many great years ahead. Thanks.
Thanks, Michael.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Michael. So now we're going to get into the instructional design part of it. And we conducted a full needs analysis throughout the summer. What we need to figure out, what the gap was. And for red card cancer, we didn't have a defined set of instructions for people to get involved. And that was the problem. So, our goal statement. We needed something personal. We needed a message to get out to people. Why would people get involved? So we created a goal statement, which I'll simply read. Any person or group wishing to get involved in a red card cancer program will be able to use the information presented in the Red Card Cancer Participants Manual to create their very own fundraising initiative. And we'll go into it a little bit later on, but the manual is available online through our website, and everything's available online, which is a great thing about it. So at the current situation, we was getting a lot of emails and a lot of phone calls about how can we get involved in red card cancer. And we simply didn't have the time to answer all of these different calls. It's very time consuming, and we've got a very small team, and we didn't have the time. So the desired situation was to create a participants manual, which would be available on the website, which you could download, so that everybody knew exactly what they had to do to get involved, so we didn't have to answer it. They could go up to the website and get all the information they needed. So the solution. What we wanted to create a full working website so that, again, everyone could go to and they could see what they needed to do to get involved. We also wanted to create, going back to this, we also wanted to create a mobile device, a mobile application that they can go to and they can get to the information anywhere they are. So by these two different portals, we were getting the information out in so many different aspects. We then had to look at our audience, and there is over 18 million soccer players worldwide, approximately. We didn't just want to reach out to soccer players because, like we've touched on already, someone has been affected by cancer somewhere in their life. Not just a soccer player. Perhaps it's a coach, perhaps it's a mum, like we shared with the story. Perhaps it's somebody who just likes the game of soccer. So we defined our audience, and as you can see by here, this is our audience that we got together, and this is the audience that we're trying to target. We've got the youth and club teams, high school teams, college teams, which was a big part of our first initiation with the project, facility owners, as you can see, the referees, everybody involved in the game in some way. That is our audience. So our learning rationale, again, why would people get involved? Anyone could get involved, but why would they get involved in red card cancer with so many different cancer projects out there? So our learning rationale, we wanted to use the web as a fundamental communication tool for everybody. I've already touched on it, but if everyone could go to the web and access it anywhere, they could get all the information. That would cut out the part that we had to do. We didn't have to answer emails, we didn't have to answer phone calls. They could go to the web and they could get all the information. It's cost friendly. Anybody can access the internet and get the information, so it's cost friendly. It's no cost to us, it's no cost to the audience, and it's easy to implement. All I needed to do is follow each specific step which are highlighted in the website to get involved. And again, the learning context. Learning context, we've got a mobile device, anyone can access it online, and we've got our participants manual which can be downloaded directly from the website. We looked at the entry behaviours, and what we asked for no real previous experience if anyone wanted to get involved, because again, the audience is very broad. Anyone can get involved in red card cancer. All that we asked and all that we demanded from the people who wanted to get involved was 4 things. We wanted them to be reliable, we wanted them to be honest, we wanted them to be motivated in getting involved in red card cancer, and we wanted them to be organised. So 4 simple things, and that kind of dictated the event that they would hold. So assessing our participation success, how would we assess it? That's the main thing. And on the website, again, everything's on the website, but we created a reflection survey so that people who had events, they could then enter some information. And right here is just a screenshot of some information so that we could look back and find out who's using the information and what are they doing about it. So I'm going to pass it over to Jared, who's going to give you some different data that we gathered about some things that can move red card cancer forward.
Thanks, Paul. All right, these are just some data findings that we found I want to share with you guys today that kind of led into our instructional design project and to find out a scope to who we're actually catering to and how motivated they are within the soccer community and how technologically savvy they are. So the first one we asked them was either I or someone close to me has been touched by cancer. 89% said yes. It is important for the soccer community to give back. Everybody said yes. I support too many causes. 26% said they do. 75% said they don't. Soccer already takes too much of my finances, which is great. 10% says no. The soccer community is well organized. 68%. Cancer is too depressing a topic to raise money for. No one said that was the case. I have a smartphone. 78%. I browse the internet from my smartphone. 73%. And then I have made a text message contribution. 78% said yes. And then I am looking for more ways to become involved in soccer. Half of our participants said that. So without further ado, I want to show you guys the website and the actual manual that we put together to act as an online learning forum for our participants. And before I go into that, I kind of want to thank Mach Mies, who's right there. She works at Johns Hopkins, and she was my ID supervisor, and she lent a helping hand throughout the project. So thanks, Mach. We appreciate it. So here's the website we put together. Jeez. How does it look? Not a big user of Internet Explorer, but all right, we'll make it work. All right, so here's our website. And the Get Involved section is where the participants' manual is hosted. And again, mobile friendly. This is the mobile website. And you simply go to the Get Involved section and you have your different crowds within the soccer community. Simple as that. Very mobile friendly, very user friendly for anybody who wants to get involved. All right. And here you can see it a little more in depth. We segregated the communities into youth club teams, high school teams, college teams, league-wide participation for league managers and administrators, facility owners and directors, referee associations, academy and camp directors, parents, students, and teachers. We actually had a great advocate of the Red Card Cancer Program. He's actually a teacher for a 7th grade class in Maryland. His name's Harut, and Harut's been one of the pioneers for the teachers crowd. So for the first year, he actually held Red Card Cancer fundraising initiatives in his classroom. He made it a contest between all of his classes. Whoever raised the most money simply got out of homework that week. And it was a great cause. They raised over $1,000, and he found out that the goal he set was too low, so he had to make another goal and give a donut party to the class that raised the most. So it was kind of good competition to see within the school. And what also Harut did was he kind of educated them within the realm of cancer. And proactively, he asked them questions. How many of you are directly affected by cancer? Parent, grandparent, friend's parent, everybody was affected. And that's eye-opening right there. So you see here on the left-hand side, we have the area where we collect our data from participants, and they can also register. So here you simply have an event registration form where people come on, they register their event. So we kind of get an idea of what's going on, and we can interact with them and ask them if they need anything else possibly. So that comes to us. And then after the fact of their event, after everything's finished, they come back and fill out an event reflection form. And the event reflection form asks them questions such as, obviously, how many ideas were raised, Did you implement any ideas yourself? This is one thing that we see a lot of people doing, is implementing their own ideas, because not every community is the same. Not every structure of a soccer field or facility is the same. So you could do certain things. You could possibly put messaging on an LED board in one place, and then in some place you're probably not that technologically advanced or have that kind of feature available. Would you like to take part in Red Card Cancer again, or encourage others to join? Again, I think that's big. If people are coming back, then you have something real that you're telling them. And then also, was any press media attention created around the event? Obviously, I'm a big marketing guy. I'm a big PR guy. So anything that they could do to help us spread the word throughout their community, implement a story in a newspaper or a school website, is always great. Was the participants' manual helpful? This is probably the biggest question that I look at. Obviously, it's our learning center. And if it's not working, we have to make it work in order to make those events work. Was it informative? Another one. And do you feel it provided all necessary information to put on a successful event? And then we also asked them, what kind of changes would you like to see made in the program? Do you feel the message was absorbed, which is one of the key components? Is everyone getting the what they need and what they feel is approachable from Red Card Cancer? And also they could rate their entire experience, which we put into a yearly report that I'm going to compile very soon. And then also we have simple things here where they could print out pledge forms or pledge online. We had a team who actually pledged for every save, every goal they scored, every assist, every shot on goal. Well, it turns out this team had their best year in the history of the school and scored an unprecedented amount of goals. So they raised over $800, and the coach simply thanked us because it was such a great boost emotionally and for their team as well. They had a good image in the community. And then the last thing I'd like to share with you is just we have printable handout donor forms, again, a team pledge form, and then also I put together a media kit to kind of lighten the load on people who want to take part. So in the media kit, we have a welcome letter from a DC United player and a U.S. national team member, Chris Pontius, who unfortunately broke his leg recently, so he's not seeing any action. We have high-resolution photos that you could download off the internet to go get your media printed for the event. Simple wraps that you would simply put around donation containers. You just cut out and just tape them on. Again, lighten the load for everybody. And then a printable donor pledge form. And then an artwork for shirts if you ever want to get them printed. So that's pretty much the Red Card Cancer project in a nutshell. We're actually looking forward to, we were all talking before, this is kind of Red Card Cancer 1.0. And Red Card Cancer 2.0 is upon us. And we're finding ways strategically to branch out a little more, whether it's mobile apps, commercials, getting deeper into the communities and doing tournaments and things like that. So I'd like to open it up for any questions or comments you guys may have for us up here.
How did you go about getting DC United involved? And is there potential for more like MLS teams to get involved?
You guys want to take that one, either of you?
So, DC United was, given the proximity of Hopkins in the Mid-Atlantic region, there was no other professional sports team, soccer team in our area, so we approached them. We see it as a civic-corporate relationship. The reality, I think there's a learning curve when you work with instructional designers, soccer coaches, professional sports organizations, medicine. There's different languages that are spoken. And it's been a learning curve for me working with a professional sports team. Professional sports team's job is to put people in the stadium. That's their job. And if they can help you in that process, they're still going to be wanting to bring people in the stadium. So it becomes almost a very club-specific type activity. We were fortunate with Paul Payne and I to get the ear of some folks and talk about piloting this at a professional level, bringing it up to MLS and Major League Soccer. So that's where we're at with it now.
I saw another hand out there.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to preface this with the fact that my mother works for a nonprofit, the Human Film Society. She does direct marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious to know because the majority of funds come in through direct mailers because of the overpopulation model. In your percentages of those who have asked us smartphones, the majority of which are applicants to donate online. So I just wanted to know what type of outreach you guys have other than individual.
Right. Well, we have a few options. We have a text-to-donate platform, which I failed to mention. My apologies. You simply text the word red card to 20. Was it? Okay. simply text the word red card to 20222. So we're proactive in that aspect. And also, you have your online donations, and also you get a lot of mail-in donations because of what teams do. You collect a lot of money, a lot of cash through containers. Coaches, you simply write a check from their program, collecting all the money to Hopkins and the Red Card Cancer Program.
And those affiliations that you have with, like, let's say DC United, do they hold, like, I forget what you call it, like a camp or anything like that? Or where they show, like, they do drills and perform drills like an outreach, and then as part of that to raise the awareness?
Yeah, they've had, Coach? They actually had a few camps in the Baltimore, D.C. area, and they were very proactive in the Red Card project. They had signage everywhere, even on the field. They had players proactively talking about the Red Card Cancer Program to these kids.
I just want to jump in because the focus with MLS and DC United, and to your question, we are talking with other ones and actually trying to work with MLS Works, which is the philanthropic arm of Major League Soccer. But if you look at, there's 20 million registered youth soccer players in this country. That's where we actually see the growth. Yes, DC United is the visible name, like, you know, in pro football, it's, you know, the Philadelphia Eagles, well, not them, but you know, in certain sports, you know, it jumps out at you. MLS is still, even though after 18 years, I think, in existence, it's still in the growing stage. But interesting enough, I think that's what's great about this site, and Mike and I chatting earlier, we recognize we have to get into that market because it's the grandmother that might not know how to use this. It goes to watch her little 6-year-old son play at a Red Card Cancer tournament, whether it's here at local AYSO or, you know, the Dallas Cup in Dallas, Texas. So we're still so new to all this, and having Mike's experience in Hopkins is tremendous for all of us, but we're kind of growing together.
And to add on to that, so direct mail, you know, the response rate for direct mail is actually under 1%. So you're looking at a tremendous amount of overhead, of investment on the front end to receive back something that we're not really certain about. I think this is where we let Jared and Paul Huckett kind of tell us a little bit about where technology was taking philanthropy. And could we actually invent or, you know, evolve new platforms to engage folks? I think that I don't know, when was the last time anyone in this room actually sat down and wrote a check? So there's my data, right there.
We'll take them for record answers. Text it to us.
Any other questions, guys? Marcus?
Yeah. How did social media impact the whole growth of Red Card Cancer?
Social media.
Such as Facebook, Twitter.
Well, that's what led us to the Hopkins and DC United partnership.
Right.
Just crafting an online community, you know, to get noticed with the hopes of someone like a Michael Hibler finding us at Johns Hopkins. So we could use, you know, their resources in conjunction with our message and really make a dent in the community.
I have a question with the texting donations.
Yeah.
How does that work?
One time.
Off your phone bill?
Yeah,
Or-
one-time donation, $10.
Okay.
They don't bill you every month, so you don't have to worry about seeing that show up. Yeah.
It's my mom's.
Tax deductible, by the way.
Do you guys primarily maintain the website and all of these different mediums of how donations are possible?
Yeah, I do that, you know, on a weekly basis. If something comes in, I have Google alerts set up for every time the words red card cancer are mentioned on the internet, it comes back to me. So if it's something worthy of putting on our website in the news section or something, or an event taking place, that comes right to me about an hour after it's actually posted to the internet. So I'm monitoring the online conversation constantly, which you have to do when you're handling a business and a cause.
Can you actually explain the pledge thing?
The pledge thing, which part?
The pledge part. How do the teams go about doing that?
Well, it's simply an option that we give them. So in their participants manual section, you have a get involved, the link up there, and you have, say, high school teams. Recommended activities, we have place donation buckets, pledge right here on the bottom. All right, and then they simply find that information, go to the pledge forms, even print pledge forms out, hand them out to parents, stuff like that. You know, Johnny's mom's donating $5 for every goal he scores this year. Frankie's mom's donating $2 for every save he has in goal, stuff like that.
And one thing, this is all revolutionary for me, some of the things, and Jared's being modest actually, because we actually were, FIFA 2014 in Brazil actually picked us up on Twitter. You talk about blogs, but the one thing unique about Red Card Cancer, and if I'm on a soapbox sometimes, not the technology end of it, but it's because we are passionate about it, We're not locked in. If you say Relay for Life, if you saw it in Miami, Florida, it's running around the track for 24 hours. Great cause. It was done in Southern Columbia, around the track for 24 hours. The one thing we believe is unique because we didn't have a set idea in our mind is really it's the community that's going to build the type of initiatives that are going to raise the money that hopefully we can overcome cancer. And I think to your point, how do pledges work? Well, pledges for a girls' youth team in Chicago could be different than what a pledges is for boys' high school in Maryland.
Right.
And that's through Jared and the use of the blog where people then share their stories, I think. So again, the technology is helping us get the message out.
Right. And the soccer itself is a tool. You have the most passionate sport in the world with the most passionate people involved coming on board to support a cause. I mean, you can't ask for the two biggest things. Our tagline at Red Card Cancer is the biggest game in the world is taking on the world's biggest opponent. And that tells you all about it right there.
I know you guys are at the beginning stages, but do you ever think about maybe branching out? I know it's Red Card Cancer, soccer, you ever think about another sport later?
Absolutely. Yep. It comes with ideas, you know. You start saying to yourself, oh, strikeout cancer, you know, like take down cancer if you're in the wrestling community, stuff like that.
First of all, applaud to you guys for what you're doing. But my question comes from a technology perspective. I noticed you show, you know, an iPhone and an iPad. Is this also available on the Android?
Absolutely. Any mobile device will be redirected to the mobile website, which you also have an option to view the desktop version as well on it.
As well as the Android tablets?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. There's coding in there that reads all tablets and smartphones and devices, even your PlayStation. If you go online, your PlayStation will be redirected to the Red Card Cancer mobile website. Yeah, it's simple code. I can give you the code if you want. You can make a donation. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, so how do you handle online donations? Do you use PayPal or?
We do it right through Hopkins. Hopkins has a platform set up. So
Secure server.
very secure server. And they're used to getting donations in the name of doctors and scholarships and stuff like that. So in the physician's name, it's stated on the website in the physician's area or the subject area, put in Red Card Cancer and donate. Any other questions? Perfect. All right, guys. Thank you. You guys were great.